Survive in the crowd. Thrive on the edge. All right, folks, welcome back to The Edge. Always, look, we are at the cutting edge. We're on the edge of what makes men great. You know, you get knocked down 10 times. What are the things, what are the incentives that get inside that say, get up 11th time? And let's put it this way. Some men play it safe. Some men change the horizon, so to speak. Gil Dezer, well, he found his edge, get this, building towers that most wouldn't dare attempt. Miami skyline, I'm telling you something, is not built by the timid. And Gil Dezer is one man who's forged the big bet, who's forged through the fire of real estate, the treacherous Miami real estate market. You've heard of the Porsche building. You've heard of the Bentley building. Well, I visited both of those. I rode on the Porsche and Bentley elevators that take your own cars up to your own apartment unit on Miami Beach. Wow, let's bring in Gil Dezer. Gil, really good having you on, my friend. I was really impressed by everything I saw yesterday at both the Bentley building and the Porsche building. I heard the story, and I think the audience really deserves to understand, how in the world did you come by hooking up with the brands Porsche and Bentley? Tell us that story.
It was a long road, but thank you for having me on the show. I'm very, very happy to be here. Meeting the Porsche guys was after we did the buildings with our president Donald Trump. I did 6 Trump branded buildings in Miami, and I became the guy who understands how to really incorporate brands into the real estate. And when we sat there and said, well, what does Porsche have to do with real estate? We said, well, let's make the building a little bit about the car lover, and also solve a big problem in apartments in Miami. The biggest problem that we solved was parking. We said, if the guy loves his car as much as we do, and he sees it as a piece of art, well, then he might want it in his living room. So we came up with a car lift system. And we when they asked me, what do you want to call this car lift system? I call it, well, it's the Dezervator. And so calling the Dezervator was something that kind of caught on. But really what it is, you drive your car into the elevator, takes you up to your level, and places you right outside your apartment. And people who love their cars as much as they love art, and they have it right there next to their units, they fell in love with the idea, and we built the Porsche Tower, with humongous success, only 132 units, and so now we're doing the 2.0, if you will, where all the minor mistakes we would have made in Porsche, we actually blew them away this time in the Bentley Tower in 2.0. So that's how we got into the car branded building. I also worked with Giorgio Armani. I built the Armani Casa in Miami, and as well as we're working on the Baccarat Tower. It's also happening in downtown Miami. So, and we're the brand guys in South Florida.
Brilliant strategy. Yeah, I got to tell you though, first of all, let me just say, when I came into the car, you can ride it, you can get up, and it literally the elevator, the Dezervator
Yeah.
Opens up to your own apartment. There's glass. You can look right into the window. And if you're on the ocean side, you're looking right out at the ocean. It's mind-boggling. 4-car garage on regular units. I don't even know what the penthouse units house. But, there must have been a lot of regulatory hoops you had to jump through for this, right? It's cutting edge. No one ever thought, bring your car up to your own apartment. Did you get a hard time from the city of Miami or the state of Florida?
I mean, a hard time is an understatement, but my answer was every no got me closer to a yes. I was working with some great people who told me, yeah, you can't really do it this way. I said, well, what if we do it this way? But okay, let's try it out. And then I used several different professionals to help me prove the case, because I did, at the end of the day, take certain systems that already exist, but adapted them to have a passenger in the car. And so we overkilled it on the safety of people in the car, and we were able to make it happen and push it through all the different government authorities, including the certifications. We got our own CE ECO certification on the elevator system. So it's a real elevator system. It just takes you and your car up to your unit, and fast.
I mean, I was shocked at that, Gil. I was surprised because, you're talking about, 6, 7, 8, 10,000 pound car. You're up. We went up 38 flights in the whole process, less than a minute from pulling the car. And we have video of this. So the elevator picks your car up, brings it into the elevator, so you're not running your car, so you're not putting exhaust into the building. Your car's shut off. Pulls it into the elevator. You're up fast. doors open, and the car drops. The elevator drops your car into your almost into your living room. It's a wild technology, but it's very, very fascinating. So go ahead. So you jump through hoops. You're fighting City Hall, so to speak, and you break through. How?
I mean, the breakthrough was going with the right people, the right consultants, and like I said, every no got us closer to a yes. I mean, they told us you cannot do it this way. Well, what about this way? And what about that way? The real answer is, I mean, the car goes up into your garage is a 2-hour fire rated box. So if that car catches on fire inside your garage, it can burn for 2 hours. And you can sit there and just grab the marshmallows and watch the fire go, because nothing will happen to you outside the other side of the glass. Also, if the car catches fire in the elevator, and again, these are cars, like, would it catch fire? When was the last time you saw a car catching fire? But if it did, right? These were all the scenarios of if it did. If it caught fire in the elevator goes down and ejects it into a room that will spray it completely with all kinds of hail on and everything to put it out. So, I mean, we've done all kinds of excessive protection measures, and that's why they're allowing us to have a passenger in the car, really taking them home to their apartment. The car is the key to your apartment.
Did you ever, I think I had read or spoken to some Porsches, been around, the Porsche buildings, been around for about 9 years or so. Any major issues with a car and an elevator or an apartment in the 9 years?
Well, I mean, there shouldn't be, really. I mean, we've had a few breakdowns, but again, the breakdown is the elevator just comes down slowly and ejects the car. You didn't get home that day, you took the passenger elevator up, Right. And if you needed to drive somewhere, you took an Uber for that day. Nothing ever break for more than 24 hours. But again, this is new. It was new technology. But because we have to prove the case with this, we found a guy in Chicago who built it for us, a real amazing elevator guy in Chicago built it for us. But from there, once we proved the case and proved the technology, now we're working with Otis, and Otis is going to be the ones building the elevators at the Bentley Tower.
Got it.
And so working with Otis, that also allows us to build these elevators all over the world. There's a business case behind this whole concept of, most buildings, they are required to build parking. We're also required to build parking, but by putting it adjacent to the unit, we can now sell it as part of the unit. So there's a complete business case of why it's worth spending $100 million on car elevators inside your building, because you get a return on investment on those kind of things.
Interesting. Yeah, really? Because and not only that, your buildings, as you point out, Porsche building has about 123 units. A building that size could have maybe double or triple the number of units if it weren't for the elevators, right?
Right, of course. Yeah, we could have built 700 units. That's right. But of course, our units are luxury size units. They're 3,000 square feet interior, 1,500 square foot balconies, and then of course the garage inside. We do, apart from the garage, we do swimming pools on every balcony. We do in the bathrooms, outdoor showers. We do heated floors. We do saunas inside master bathrooms, all standard stuff. So, already the spec of the apartment, the specification is like the highest quality you can buy within that, and then we added the fun stuff from there.
And anything you learned at Porsche that you're going to incorporate and fix with Bentley?
So Porsche, we put the swimming pool in the wrong spot, to be perfectly honest with you. We put it in the middle of the living room, and it kind of blocks the view a little bit. At Bentley, what we do is we push it to the side. So as you walk into the apartment, you see a sunken pool with a view of the ocean in front of you, and it's like something out of the movies.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that on every single apartment, going all the way up the building. And again, we're changing the game of how real estate is done, using the best types of designs and the elements, and also the ability today to design today in computers and how it's been done. And really, this building can be second to none.
They say if you have to ask how much it costs to dock your boat, you can't afford the boat. But I think people would want to know, with the third number of units or less in a building like that, does that mean the HOA fees, monthly fees would be double and triple what they would normally be? And again, this is for the ultra rich anyway. So is that the case though?
I mean, yes and no. It's not so much that the HOA fees are for the building itself. Luckily, we save on valet because we have the car system, so we have less valets in a typical building. But again, like you said, if you have to ask, you can't afford it. The HOA fees are not bad, but they do include sponsoring losses on the restaurant that we have in the building. But again, the restaurant is run by Todd English. He's a celebrity chef, and it's not open to the public. So it's a special clubhouse kind of feel, and the buyers don't mind paying.
All right, man, this is amazing. You've crushed it. It's not just with Porsche and Bentley and the other buildings that are branded. You have quite a real estate footprint in the city of Miami. Let's get into it a little bit, because it wasn't always smooth sailing, so to speak, right? For Gil, let's talk about. I'm very friendly with Donald Trump. I know the trials and tribulations of the real estate business, especially in 2008, when everyone in real estate really just took it on the chin. How you were involved? Yeah, you were in the real estate business then, and how did you survive that rough time for real estate investors?
It was a fucking disaster. That's all I can tell you. I mean, how did we survive? We got back to the basics. Back to the basics. I had in 2008. I'll never forget. We were finishing the Trump Royale. I was doing a license deal with Donald Trump. With 384 units sold out, and it was a Monday. That Monday we sent out our closing notices. Get everybody ready. We were closing sometime in November. My loan was coming due in December, so I had all these units sold out. I just needed to close them. We all had 20% deposits. I just needed to bring in the money, pay off the bank. Everything was golden. I sent out my closing notices on Monday. Wednesday, Lehman Brothers collapse.
Mm-hmm.
Disaster. Then I had another 3 buildings, another 900 units in the same condition that were closing within 6 to 8 months afterwards. Again, nobody closed. I had 1,300 units. Nobody came to close. It was an absolute disaster. At the time, I owed $475 million to the banks, various lenders, Wells Fargo included. It was, and we really didn't know where it was going, how it was going. But that was at the time. That's when I took over the reins of the company. My father said, "Listen, we don't need this. Let the banks take all the buildings. We don't need this headache." And the banks were there. Every single other developer in Miami lost their building or had to put deed in a box or had it some other way where the bank really had to control the building. We just simply got an extension. I was able to negotiate a 4-year extension, but if I paid them back earlier, we got all kinds of credits and interest back, et cetera, et cetera. Excuse me. And so, and that's what it is. We got back to work. I had, like I said, 1,400 units with people with deposits. I tried to speak to every single one of them, moving them around, moving them cheaper units, doubling up deposits, putting people together to become partners, close on a unit, close what I could. And we exhausted what we could. And then we sat there and it was around that time, it was 2009, 2010. Brazil woke up and literally saved our butts. Brazil came in and they were buying units and we had to lower prices. So units that I was charging $1,000 a foot, I was now down to $475, $500 a foot. So we were giving literally half off. But Brazil was coming in. We were selling in 2010, we started selling like 30 units a month, and they went flying off the shelves. And I was able to pay back on all my buildings. I paid back $475 million by 2011. We got all kinds of interest back. We got all kinds of better deals because of it. And yeah, I paid back $500 million in that crisis over there, and we made some money. But every day I woke up, I said, I'm working harder to lose less money. That's what it was. We were just working.
Well, well, when you're dealing with that type of leverage, yeah, every day could be the end. I'm very familiar with that. I was standing in a trading pit where every single day could have been my last financial day above ground, so to speak. And there were nights. How'd you deal with it? I remember nights I would watch European markets trade, and I know I had the wrong position on or something. Again, I made a ton of money on Wall Street, but every single day I risked every single penny I had. And those nights, I don't know, after a while, I did it for 15 years, I had to get out. How did you stay with it? You'd go through this near-death financial experience, so to speak, and yet here you are taking $500 million, $750 million bets on single condominiums. You still got the juice in your veins.
I mean, much like trading, it's about buyer sentiment, but different than trading, there's a physical asset you can touch.
Mm-hmm.
And you can wake up in the morning, you say, this building is not going anywhere. This building is going to be here tomorrow. And it's just about the market, the people, how they feel. They feel one way today, they feel another way tomorrow, but the asset's not going anywhere. And so much like trading, different than trading that can evaporate, This is something that's not going anywhere. When buyers start making a little more money, when people get their Christmas bonuses, whatever the case is, this will retain its value and come back to have its value. And of course it did. You know, those same people who did buy from me in 2009 for $500 a foot, they're reselling it at 3 times right now. You know, so they sat there and they wrote it out, and they were opportunistic buyers, but they made 3x, which is not a bad deal.
No.
So, you know, so I mean, so that's the real answer. I mean, real estate itself is not such a bet. It's an actual tangible asset that if the buyer sentiment is what moves up price, and buyer sentiment is when this guy might win in New York as the mayor, buyer sentiment is going to go up, and everybody's going to come running to Miami and price.
Oh, no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind that COVID made people realize if you live in New York, you live in Boston, you live in Chicago, you don't need to. You can come south where the weather's nice and still get business done. And I think a lot of that happened. Some of them are trickling back, but they will be back, especially if you have socialists in New York. But I want to talk politics here. Gil,
right.
What would you say was the riskiest bet you've ever made? And when I say bet, I mean building. Is there one where everyone said, your father, whoever, your closest advisor said, Gil, don't do this one. This is a bad idea. Is there one that you did anyway?
I mean, Porsche was the riskiest one ever, because the process of getting that space involved, even the general contractor says to me, what if this elevator doesn't work? What if it doesn't work right? What do you do with all these spaces? What are you going to use all these garages inside the apartments for if the elevator doesn't work? And I said to him as a joke, I said, well, you know, we'll open up the garage doors and put a balcony railing, and it'll be an interior atrium, you know? I said as a joke, obviously. But again, I have a tendency of oversimplifying stuff. You know, it's an elevator, it goes up, it goes down, so we'll make it work. We'll absolutely make it work. And that's what we did. We put all the efforts and everything we needed to make it work. I mean, but those kind of things, a lot of people said to me, hey, you don't really need this. You don't need to do this. You can just build a regular building. And I said, but it's not, it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be what it was meant to be. You know, this was meant to be a different way to bring people to their homes and a different type of environment of vertical living. And that's what we're really creating, a different style of vertical living with your own restaurant downstairs, with your own spa downstairs, with everything you need. So you don't never need to leave the building. And even when you do, you don't have to call the valet. You just press the button and you go downstairs.
Who told you not to do it? Who are your advisors that said stay away from that? It's too risky.
I mean, there are a few. I mean, my own general contractor, he tried to help me get a different manufacturer of elevators. He said, "Listen, I don't know about this, and he was being very prudent, and his prudency made us go and do things a little bit different. But we also we covered our own butts and we made it all proper."
All right. Let me ask you this: you build buildings that change the Miami skyline. Is that ego? Is it vision? Is it both? Is it money?
I mean, you got my buildings. I believe you can't keep on building the same shit over and over and over again and be different. There's hundreds of buildings on the ocean, and nobody does really anything that interesting. So we did, in the Trump buildings, the architecture was tremendously interesting. But I built 2,000 Trump apartments on the beach. So I use that to myself as its gold standard. If anybody's going to buy a unit, I have to beat what is the Trump buildings there on the beach. And of course, we did it 20 years ago. So it shouldn't be that hard to beat, especially with today's technology. Very different. But so that's what like Bentley, for instance. The exterior glass is all a diamond faceted facade on the glass. I was spending about $28 million more just to put that diamond faceted stuff on the building. But I want to have a different building. I don't have the same kind of glass looking thing that I did at Porsche, that I did at Armani, that I did all the other buildings. So for me, it's important to differentiate the product, to also match the building with the brand that I'm using. So Bentley is known for the diamond shapes that it has in all of its cars and all of its kind of stuff like that. So we actually matched it on the exterior of the building and make it quite unique. And also these things are here forever. So these buildings are going to stand out like this forever. So forever, people are going to drive up and down that beach or even drive their boat through the ocean and be able to identify, hey, that's the Bentley building. It's going to be like a lighthouse here in Miami. It's rising 100 feet taller than all the rest of the building.
So you're right. You drive up and down Collins, when you watch, you see the ocean, you see the condos, you see the condo, then you see Bentley. If you're coming south to north, you see Bentley, you're like, oh, wow, Bentley, that's cool. And then you drive Porsche. Oh my gosh, the cars come up right to your, it's unique. You have to stop and say, wow, that is different. This big condo collapse a couple of years ago in Surfside, which is pretty close to, I think it was an 84th or so street, and you're on 135th, 133rd. So fairly close. How did that condo collapse affect your business?
Well, everybody kind of freaked out. I mean, nobody likes to see such a thing. It was a disaster. It was devastating, a true loss, and it shouldn't have ever happened. Completely preventable, and should have never happened. But again, that goes to show you how the world has changed. Today, buildings like that would have never been drawn the way they are architecturally. I'm saying, it's typically speaking, buildings are the foundation is supposed to be 1/3 of the height. So if you're talking about a 12-story building, 120-foot building, you're talking about a maybe 40-foot foundation. And as we all know today, the bedrock on the beach in Miami Beach, I don't know specifically for that area, but the bedrock is at 150 feet in depth. So engineers today know that you have to put a foundation well beyond 150 feet.
So let me just for this layman, so some of these condos were built with the foundation that wasn't even drilled into the bedrock?
Right. I mean, basically it's floating sand. It's in 40, 50, maybe 60 feet of floating sand. But you don't hit the bedrock. That's Miami sand. And so over time, a building like that will shift, will sink with construction in the area. It might de-water, move sands around, shift sands around. I mean, I'm not the expert, obviously, but that kind of stuff cannot happen, will not happen again. But I can tell you that, as an example, you can figure out if you dug 100 feet of sand out from underneath my building, you'll still see these like pilings sticking out on mine, versus if you dug 100 feet of sand out of their building, they'd be floating in the air.
Changing gears a little bit. Miami real estate, the condo market. By the way, folks don't know this. There's a Miami Condo Index. It's an index. They track the pricing of condominiums in Miami, and it really has been over the course of 20 years since the first downturn, the 2007, 2008 downturn. It's been a pretty darn good indicator of the general real estate market. Right now, Miami is stronger than the rest of the surrounding markets. But in Miami real estate specifically, there are killers and there are casualties. How do you ensure you're the killer, not a casualty?
That's probably the best question I've ever been asked. And that's the toughest one to answer too. You got to stay with the market. You got to stay on the game. You can't, you just got to be able to really see what's going on, see what others are doing, and make sure you're top of mind all day, every day. And that's what we do. We keep top of mind with all the brokers in the community. And when the buyers are coming in, we're also giving a tremendous product at the right price. It's the price tag is expensive, but the value is there. We're an $8.5 million apartment, but it's 6,000 square feet with a 4-car garage, swimming pool, sauna, outdoor shower. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's cheap. Especially, I was in Europe this summer, seeing the prices that everybody else is charging, especially with the euro. Miami is a bargain in the entire world. Still, compared to every major city, it's still very, very cheap.
And that's why you see a big influx. If you spend enough time in Miami, which I do, tons of Europeans, tons of Latin Americans. It's really a melting pot. It's an amazing place. Here's a bit of an
with the euro 120 to the dollar, every single European should be running over and buying apartments in Miami right now.
I would think they would, or they will. Everyone with a dollar or with a euro will. I would tell you, I know Mayor Suarez pretty well. I talk to him all the time. The Miami infrastructure, you guys need some roads and bridges, dude. I mean, Miami, can you imagine the prices you could be charging if it was easy to commute in and out of Miami, as easy as some of the surrounding areas?
I mean, to be honest, if you're a local, you know how to move around. I mean, we part of what I love to do is drive. I don't know if I'm incriminating myself at all, but there's an HOV lane. And we've made it from my Sunny Isles office to the downtown office as fast as 19 minutes in the Bugatti. So
In the Bugatti,
yeah,
which
so I
strikes
mean,
my next question. What
yeah.
does Gil do for fun? And I was at both Bentley and Porsche. I think I saw a lot of some cars had your last name on it, but I saw some pretty nice looking cars. You're a car enthusiast. I believe your father was too. I did a little research.
Yes, my father is a car collector. I'm a car enthusiast. I mean, we love it. I'm just now here in Europe finishing the Gumball Rally. We were driving from Istanbul to Ibiza, so we just finished a day ago. We're on a rest and recovery kind of situation,
Yeah.
and then heading home
That
soon.
Ibiza is a dangerous place. You better be careful at Ibiza. Make sure you make it back. Gil, just a couple more quick ones. What do you want? What's the project you want people to remember Gil Dezer for?
That project probably hasn't been built yet. You know, we got a lot of stuff in the hopper. We got a lot of stuff in the pipeline. We got at least work now for the next 20 to 25 years without picking up new projects, but we're all still picking up new projects. So the legacy one still hasn't started yet, but we'll figure out which one.
You know, what do you want to give us a hint on what's in the pipeline?
I mean, I got some really big stuff we're working. I have oceanfront property that we still own. We have enough sites for another 3 buildings. I bought the Intracoastal Mall that we've got approved over there, 2,000 apartments and 7 buildings, 500,000 square feet of retail. I got sites downtown Miami. I have a site in Hillsborough. We're doing the Rosewood to Hillsborough. That's about 50% sold right now and under construction. So we got a whole bunch we're doing that project in Hollywood Icon. So we got a whole bunch of things going on, a lot more in the hopper. And like I said, we have land bank today, enough land that we have for the next 25 years without buying anything.
Beautiful.
So,
when you see younger developers chasing you, do you want to mentor them or do you want to crush them?
That's funny you mentioned that. I said the other day, where are the younger developers? You know, I used to be the youngest this, the youngest that. There's only one other younger developer right now. He's doing a great job. But you know, it's not really changing the game too much. But there, you know, there is no real young new crowd coming in, especially on the big forefront. So we'll see where it goes. Really, that's going to be a very interesting thing to see what's going to happen going forward.
Mm-hmm. Final question. This is called the Edge, and we ask everyone this. The Edge, I define it as at some point in your life, maybe more than once, but at some point in your life, especially as a man, you find yourself on the edge where the edge can either slice you in half, you can fall over the edge of a cliff, or you can use that moment as a teaching moment and brush yourself off and get up and go forward. Thinking back, Gil, what was the moment? What was your edge moment?
It was then, I think, I want to say in 2007, 2008, when we had those issues with the bank. I mean, really, if you think about it, it was a moment I had to speak in front of 29 different lenders and tell them, yeah, I'm going to sell this apartment and sell that apartment and pay you back and pay you back. And I was thinking to myself, I don't even know if I'm ever going to be able to do this kind of shit. But yeah, hold on. I always said to myself, again, when you're talking real estate, the asset's there, you know, and I always said the value of the asset is more than what we owed in the debt. So we were in good shape. And I, you know, that was the edge. It was the edge for my family. It was when my father stepped aside. And he said, hey, you handle this. We don't need this anymore. If you want to give it up, give it up. I said, we're not giving it up. Let me save it. And I made a very favorable deal and saved it. And that was I had several other big moments financially where I made great deals, but they weren't edge moments. You know, the truth is I do business very conservatively. So I try not to get to the edge of anything, you know, and I push the limits maybe, but I'm on the pushing side. I'm not on the edge side. I'm on the inside of the curve, pushing to the end, you know? So that's the real story.
There you go, Gil. What a great story. What a wonderful story. And you'll keep us abreast of all the new things you're up to. We appreciate your time on the Edge, Gil. It was a really wonderful conversation. Again, folks, if you've been to Miami, you know the Miami real estate market, it takes balls. You got to have guts, balls, brains. You have to have the whole package, and Gil is putting it together, continues to do so. Gil Dezer, appreciate your time. Thank you, and safe travels back home.
Okay. All right. Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. That was a fantastic conversation with Gil Dezer, a guy who plays at the very tip top of the highly competitive Miami real estate game. You just got an inside look at how killers are made in real estate and how casualties are left behind. Now, before we close, I want to show you something that jumped off the page at me quite literally. Take a look at this. This month's GQ magazine talking about the state of the American male in 2025. This month's GQ story is all about masculinity in 2025, how men are redefining strength, resilience, and what it means to actually stand for something in this era. And let me tell you, it's exactly what the heartbeat of the Edge is. They're talking about men searching for something real, not filters, not shortcuts, not fake dopamine hits, real tests, real fire. And that's what we're doing here every single week, week in and week out. We're sitting down with people who've bled, who've battled, and who've come out on the other side stronger. Just paging through the magazine, the whole magazine is dedicated to masculinity in 2025. Some amazing polls in here. I really want to talk about some of this stuff in the upcoming weeks at the Edge. Listen to this. Top things men think about. Top things men think about day in and day out. Number one, 61% money. Number two, physical health. Number three, mental health. Number four, their job. Get this one. How do men define masculinity? And we're talking about this every single day. The grit, the perseverance, the edge, what it takes to brush yourself off and get back up after you've been knocked down 10, 11, 50 times. 51st time you get back up and succeed. Top things. What do men think about? How they define masculinity? 75% define it as strong, 62% confident, 59% protective, 56% tough, 52% responsible. Really interesting stuff. We're going to be tackling all these. So if you feel the pull like I do, and if you're tired of soft edges and want to sharpen your own edge, you're in the right place, because this is just the beginning. Remember, the weak get filtered out, the strong rise through the fire. That is the Edge. And we're just getting started.